Okay, now we're live. Finally, we're live. And that's my fault. My fault. Deadman Stone Podcast, your host, Mr. Deadman, co-host, Becky. Our guest tonight,
Hey.
R.C. Rumple, Richard Rumple. How's it going, Rumple?
Doing well, doing well.
I'm glad to hear. One quick announcement, Sausage Fest, private show this Saturday. Patrons only, but you might be able to get a slip. But patrons, go to patreon.com/deadmanstome. It's a Sausage Fest with a little bit of troll slang this Saturday.
Wait a minute.
9:30.
I get to be part of Sausage Fest 2018?
Yes.
Hot damn.
Yep. You're be part of it. Well, what's going to happen here? Is it going to be how many sausages can Mr. Deadman put in his mouth at one time? I don't know. What I can tell you is that it's not going to be streamed on YouTube. Okay, it's not going to be streamed on YouTube
Right.
because I don't want to risk any flags. Yeah. So, all right. With that
We'll
said,
be banned for life.
probably. All right. Do we have any ads? I think we have an ad.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do. And it is from Richard Rumple, who is our guest. What happens when a succubus takes advantage of a creature of the night? Why are Bigfoot creatures so hard to find? What would you do if attacked by slithering serpents? Gabriela is your guide to 13 Tales of Terror in her book, Gabriela Tales from a Demon Cat. Readers state, I didn't sleep for 3 days after that story, and that one scared the hell out of me. Richard Rumple's Gabriela Tales from a Demon Cat, available on Kindle or in paperback at Amazon.com.
All right. That's good. And that book is interesting. We'll talk about that one as well.
That pretty much takes care of the show, right?
Yeah. I got
Nice try, sucker.
got two other announcements real fast. My way of giving back to the community, kind of looking around, seeing anything to do some shout outs for. The Gray Rooms podcast. If you haven't listened to them yet, definitely check it out. The Gray Rooms is an audio horror fiction podcast. All right. Bi-weekly episodes. Brian Black, he's one of the guys behind it. I don't think he's been on this show before, but he's been on another podcast of mine called the Options Menu Podcast, is video game oriented and things. Pretty cool guy. Jason Wilson's behind it too. So definitely check that out. One other announcement. I found this Sizzling Erotica by Bob McNeil. Bob McNeil has been a friend of mine. He's helped out with the show, with Deadman's Tome. And this is some pretty sizzling stuff. The link to it is in the description box below on the very bottom. You can't miss it. Just go to the very bottom, click it, and let me read you a little bit. You mind if I read you a little bit?
No, please do. And I'm probably going to have to go out and get this.
Oh, it's actually free to read. It's a post, and it needs you to vote. The URL is way too long for me to read out. It's sorry. It's just a crazy URL. It's a long one. But so definitely click on the link. Here we go. Ready? Let me see if I can my voice right for this. Vera and Gloria open their mouths and their tongues dance with each other. While kissing, Gloria removed Vera's nightgown. Familiar with the map of her lover's body, Gloria stroked Vera's hair. Shit, I can't read. Hair as well as her breasts. Gloria was prepared for sex with Vera. It usually made the talk show hostess more comfortable. Vera and Gloria were familiar with this carnal medicine. Vera's nipples were as erect as tear-shaped chocolate candy when Gloria sucked them. Oh, it goes on. It gets some sizzling stuff. So definitely check that out. Like I said, link is in the description box below. Very bottom. Click it and vote on the show on the story. Hope he didn't mind me reading that. I told him I was going to do a shout out, so he knows that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry he didn't.
Okay. Let's see. All right, Mr. Rumple. Mr. Rumple?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're cutting in and out. I apologize.
All right. Okay, I'm glad you're still here.
Here we go.
All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to go right into the news real fast. some important stuff. Feel free to chime in at any time through this, because and this is important, ladies and gentlemen, because while this show talks about horror and writing, we need to talk about what's really happening around us. Some very important news. And what's the first one today? What do we got?
Oh, my Lord. You would ask me. Okay. Well, this is the headline. Deadly fetish. Man dies after injecting silicone into his balls for a sex cult game.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I kid you not.
I'm sorry. What? Repeat that again. I don't think I heard you in both ears.
Oh, yes, you did.
I think I had too
Deadly
much
fetish.
silicone in one ear. No.
He's reliving his teenage years there.
Wait.
Man dies after injecting silicone into his balls.
How old was this man? He's not.
28 years old.
Oh shit!
He
Teenage years.
injected large quantities of silicone into his genitalia.
Yeah, let me just inject this plastic gel into my balls. That's a smart idea. That's a great idea.
I'm telling you. I mean, but there's a picture, okay? Now, I mean, granted, he has on a Speedo, but oh my God.
Yeah, the
Just
picture's
no.
on the screen right now, and it might get us. This is crazy. Becky, you did some work looking for this, because I'm sure is this like the only photo we could show that's somewhat tame? Because this.
Yes.
Oh, he looks like a dwarf. He looks like
He looks like somebody blew air in his butt with a hose.
Oh shit.
And they quit it before they got to his head.
Yeah. His head shrunk or something, man.
He doesn't have a neck.
You gotta put silicone in his neck. I mean,
Oh, my dear God.
might as well. Might as well.
Well, and look at him. He's sitting there, and you could tell he's sucking his stomach in.
No, yeah, he is. He is. Oh my God. And the thing about
He
this
looks
story,
like one of the trolls from The Hobbit. You know.
he does. It's crazy looking, and this is real life. This is why I cover this stuff. This is why I tell Becky, hey, we gotta do this. We gotta do this. This looks, because this is real life, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make this up. If you were to read this in one of my books, or I don't know if you read it in Mr. Rumple's books, but it'd be like, are you making stuff up now? Be like, no, this is real. This really happens. Someone's like, hey, I want to inject some silicone in my nuts. And what else does the article say? Does it go into like why or anything else?
Yes, it kind of does.
Okay.
He posted images of himself with enlarged genitalia. Yeah, no shit, we saw that. He was known for injecting large quantities of saline solution into his scrotum. Silicone injections to the silicone injections to the genitalia can cause abnormal swelling, penile distortion, and can lead to fluid accumulation and bleeding in the lungs. Now, that's exactly why he died.
Bleeding in the
lung
lungs,
failure.
of all places.
Yeah.
I think the growth, whatever they were saying, the swelling is what they're aiming for. They want the swelling, right? I mean, look at his balls.
Yeah, but I mean, how the blue hell did he walk, much less sit down? Can you imagine? You all said something one night about sitting on your nuts. Can you imagine if they were that big and you sat on them?
Oh my God. Oh,
They
shit.
would
I just wouldn't want to
off
be in
your
line
butt.
at a fast forward. I wouldn't want to be in a line at a fast food restaurant in front of him by any means.
Oh no.
I'll take a Big Mac. No, let me rephrase that. I don't want. No, you know.
I want chicken nuggets. No, wait a minute.
No.
Oh shit. You know,
Well banned.
imagine being this dude's mom and hearing this story. Like,
Oh my God.
fuck. My son did what
Yeah.
now?
Probably
no.
just Well, he always did
He
have
was-
balls, you know. So
Like, my son did what
Oh,
now?
we're going to hell.
I mean, he has a funeral, all right? I mean, people are going to be like,
Okay.
we're sorry for your loss, ma'am. But we have to ask you, did you know he was going to
How
do
did
this?
they get him in the casket? I'm sorry. I'm
don't
sorry. I'm so sorry.
they laid him on his side.
And I like how the thing you sent me for me to put on for the show says, did Mr. Deadman make him do it? Did I make him do it? Becky, come on now.
What?
I know I run a sex ring with midgets, but I don't do this.
You're not making them. You're not making them inject silicone.
No, of course not. I would never do that.
I mean, why in the blue hell would somebody think that was a good idea? I mean, really?
The same reason that they thought injecting saline into the scrotum was a good idea. You know? I mean, come on.
Might as well. But what's even crazier, and I don't think the article goes into this, but it's when they say a ring, a sex cult ring, it's a bunch of other dudes that are doing this.
It was a master-slave relationship thing, wasn't it?
He has a master. And I forgot what the master's name is. But you start digging into it, and the laughs just don't stop, man. You're like, this can't be fucking real life. What the hell's going on here? How the fuck is this guy making money? Like, what does he do for a living? I mean, come on.
Obviously, he's not doing anything.
Well, not now.
He did.
I don't know. Are there any more jokes you can make on this guy? I think
He was nuts.
Maybe he modeled for volleyballs. I don't know.
he looks like it.
I want to know if he shaved them.
Oh, man.
How many razors did he have to use?
And now our stream is explicit. It's age restricted now. Just for this picture.
Oh my God.
All right. I think. What's the next one?
Yeah, that's enough of that.
What's the next one?
Oh, Lord. The next one, it really, I just, Okay, so my brother comes in one day and says, have you ever heard of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster? And I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, look it up. And I'm like, no, I don't Google things that people tell me to anymore. He goes, no, seriously, look it up. It's a real thing. And I said, shut up. And he goes, no, really. So I looked it up, and he's right. It's really a thing. Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's a religion for trolls. It's a religion just to troll the fuck out of pretty much anyone religious. Shit.
Do we know the president of this?
I can't say. As a member of this religious organization, I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't say.
Did you lie? You told me that you were in the Church of Chef Boyardee.
Oh, Chef Boyardee. Well, he's one of our prophets. Chef Boyardee is. and
Are y'all based in San Francisco where they make rice-a-roni?
That's one of our chapters. Okay, that's one of our meetups. We also have a few in Florida, one in Texas, and we can't go into detail about our organization, our beliefs, but every day or every Sunday we pray to a pot of spaghetti. Okay, and
Is that before you eat it or after?
No. You don't eat the spaghetti. That's blasphemy. That's horrible, Becky. I can't believe you said that. I mean, would you?
I'm sorry.
Would you ask if someone ate Jesus? I mean, I guess people do eat Jesus, but I mean, we don't do that here. We have respect for our Lord and Savior, the spaghetti monster. We don't eat them. We're not doing that.
You do realize that the Royal Order of Lasagna is listening, do you not?
Oh yeah, but those imposters can just get the fuck out of here.
They're trying to take off. Those imposters.
Those imposters can get the fuck out of here.
They're going to take over.
Oh yeah.
I want to know. Oh, so do y'all inject silicone into your meatballs?
No, we get all natural. We want real shit. We don't want any of that plastic stuff. That silicone parts are made for toys, so you save that for that. We want the real meat. We want real meaty balls. Wait. I should stop talking about real meaty balls.
Yeah, you better.
And last on our last piece here before we get into the heart of the show is and this is definitely related to horror. And I told Becky about this. Actually, my wife told me about this. Mr. Rumple, you are aware of Pokemon, right?
Yes, I am aware of Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, did you know that there's going to be a new Pokemon movie, a live action movie called Detective Pikachu, and it looks like the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. It's
oh my god.
It's when I say live action, it is that. I mean, it's a movie. It's that sounds weird. Imagine Ted. That was it. The movie with a stuffed animal, a stuffed bear,
right?
But with Pokemon, and a whole world of them. And I swear, the Pikachu in the trailer, it looked monstrous. It looked like a thing of nightmares. It's just.
Please tell me Mark Wahlberg's not going to be in this one too.
I don't know, but I know Ryan Reynolds is in it. And he does the voice.
Are you serious?
Okay. Yeah, and he does the voice.
Is he reprising his Green Lantern role?
Oh no, he's not singing that low.
Okay.
But he is playing Pikachu.
Right.
He is playing Pikachu.
Gotcha.
So Deadpool is playing Pikachu. I don't know if there's gonna be a scene where he's getting all coked out or anything, but he's definitely in it. That's the main thing. It's just.
I would say something, but after today's occurrence, I can't say it. So keep going. Poor Stan Lee. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that was a while in the waiting too. They were keeping him alive barely. Oh man.
I remember him when I was a kid, him and Jack Kirby, and it was just everything they came out with was just absolutely phenomenal. I lucked out and actually had one of the first Fantastic Four comic books, which I wish I still had, but it went by the wayside many, many moons ago. But those guys, they were just phenomenal in everything. They truly were. So
yeah,
it's a big loss. It's a big loss.
It is.
It really is. And and the way Marvel is now, I don't know what their future is going to be like. Comic book wise, their latest releases don't seem to be doing very well, and for a number of different reasons. Whether it be shoehorning like different, political things or different whatever, and it's just I don't know. Maybe comics in general aren't really being sold or being bought. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the movies, I think, came out too quickly, don't you, in all essence? I mean,
oh, yeah.
It used to be you had to wait a year to 2 years before another blockbuster came out in a grouping, and these are coming out every 6 months, a different one, but, a different hero. But still, it's boom, 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 and, they haven't hit the DVDs or the Blu-rays or streaming or anything, and here's another one. So, Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing. I think so, because they are.
Is that possible?
It is, especially with comic book movies, because I mentioned this before on the show. Now when I go to the movies, I'm sick and tired of comic book movies. Actually, I'm actually wanting them to stop, but that's like a unpopular opinion. I might get a thumb down for that. Who knows?
Well, it's either a comic book movie or a remake. You don't have a lot of choice anymore. You really don't. Let's see.
They
Halloween
need to come up with
version
new
number
material.
75. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Comic book movie, a remake, or another horror movie about possessed dolls. It's like, oh, okay, we get it.
Oh.
Exactly.
No more possessed dolls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm waiting for another horror movie about spiders too anytime. So
No, shut up.
See, that's what we need. Just a horror movie about spiders. Man.
No.
That's scary in itself. Just do that.
There hasn't been a good one since arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It needs to end with a flamethrower. Yeah, just end it with a flamethrower. All right.
I'm gonna kick both of y'all.
All right, Mr. Rumple. Let's get into the heart of this.
Okay.
Normally I ask, who are you? What do you do? But for this, I think I'll go with, why write horror?
Why not?
Why not?
No, in essence, it's, how should I say this? Let me go back a few years. I did stand-up comedy for 6 years, traveling the United States, doing all that sort of stuff. And so the transition to being a horror writer is normal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in essence, because what you're doing in both instances, and before that, I was a rock radio announcer for years and years, back during the days of the WKRP style of radio. But you write your own shows, you write your own jokes on stage, and what you're doing in both instances are taking people out of their mundane, boring, hate-filled, disgusting world of which they live sometimes, and you're putting them into a fantasy world. You're giving them a journey to travel, something that is out of the ordinary, something to transport them into a world of their imagination. And horror seems to be able to do that better than a lot of other things. Plus, I had a lot of experiences when I was young in weird areas, so it just came naturally. When I decided I was going to retire early and take writing seriously, horror was the first the first genre that came to mind. So,
okay, all right. So it's not the cliche. You're troubled by a troubled youth, and you're haunted by demons of your past, and you have to find a creative outlet for them because they're just so overbearing.
So you don't kill 500 people?
Yeah.
No, I only have my set on 25 or 30. But no, actually, no, I had a lousy childhood. I'll admit that. I had a great childhood, and then pardon?
I'm asking, do we have the same attorney? Because I get away with saying stuff like that. Maybe 20 bodies, 30 bodies, and I mean, he looks at me kind of weird after I say it. I'm just like, dude, you let me slip. You didn't just zip my mouth up. I'm sorry.
Well, I will watch myself by all means. There, no, I'm sarcastic to an extent, so please excuse me if I go overboard. Sometimes my mouth speaks before my brain catches up. But no, I did. I had, I lost my mom when I was 13. My dad remarried 6 months later. I ended up in a basement room where, when it rained, there was water on the floor.
What?
That type of thing.
That's fucking
People
horrible.
always said that you had to suffer to be a good comedian,
No,
and I paid my dues in that area. So, it's just been one of those things. It's not a matter of how many times you get down, and I know that sounds so cliche, but it's a matter of how many times you pick yourself up and say, "I'll be damned if anything's going to stop me," and you just keep moving forward. Life isn't easy. These people that think that everything is going to be hunky-dory and they're going to have a great time once they get out in reality, they're in for a surprise. You're constantly knocked backwards People are backstabbers to an extent out there, especially in the business world. You have to be careful who you trust. It gets to the point at times. I used to keep a small rattlesnake, and it was a paperweight. It was in a glass on my desk, and people would kind of shirk from it a little bit, and they'd say, "What's that about?" And I'd say it's always a reminder. There's always a snake in the grass, so watch your ass.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you just have to make the best out of it and go forward and not let things get to you and bother you and just keep moving. The life is too short. I've been dead twice, and you've just got to keep moving, and you don't want to waste that time. Take advantage of every second you've got and enjoy it.
Wait, you said you've been dead twice?
Yeah. I had a Cape Cobra get hold of me in Mozambique years and years ago. And I was on life support for 3 days, but I actually died on a helicopter flight to the hospital. And then back in 2007, I had a heart attack and flatlined on the table, and they finally got me going again. So, yeah, no, I'm sorry, but there was no bright lights, no anything. It was gone, and then waking up. When I woke up from my heart attack, I see my wife standing over me, my son-in-law, and my daughter, and they're all looking very depressed. And the first thing out of my mouth was, "What? You guys are sorry I'm not dead? You should be elated I'm alive."
Yeah, no life insurance money for you guys. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait on the cash. So.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Man, well, it's good to know that you have a sense of humor about it. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, you've got to. I mean, God, why take yourself seriously in this day and age? There's too many people that are just going absolutely crazy.
That is definitely something to live by.
They've got the blinders on. They see nothing but what they want to see. They refuse to compromise, to tolerate, to do any of this other stuff. They're so self-absorbed. It's pathetic. It truly is. People have just got to open up. They've got to realize they're not the only one in the world, that there's other people. And God, how damn boring it would be if we were all the same. Listen to what other people have to say. Everyone's got an opinion. Go for it. Take advantage of what other people have to offer. Yeah. So, but getting back to the original question, as you can see, I ramble.
That's what the show is. It's one long digression, pretty much. We just have a conversation. We can go wherever you like. I mean, hell, now I'm interested about like how you dying and just seeing emptiness in that moment, and I mean, how has that influenced both your writing and maybe even your comedy? I mean, I don't know. You still do stand up?
I don't do stand up any longer. No, I left that. It was 52 weeks a year on the road, and that sort of stuff gets old. You get tired of listening to your neighbors in hotel rooms going at it every night. You put a couple of cigarettes on the doorknob you go walk out the next morning, and you see two of the same gender walking out of the door, and you're thinking, God, what do they do with the cigarettes? But anyway, it's I got into business. I was a corporate training director for years, and then just got fed up with it. I've always been a creative individual. I've never been one to look at the black and white and say, "Oh, this is what I enjoy. I love this with all my heart. I don't ever want to do anything else." That's bull. I've always wanted to create. That was one reason I've been accepted to Indiana University School of Law, and I said, "The hell with that. I'm going into radio." I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And just didn't want to. I've pursued happiness, I guess, my life instead of looking the other direction. And there's been a lot of money. There's been a lot of money spent, but I've had a good time. So that's what it's all about. As far as writing horror, I love it. I love it. Again, I love taking a person out of their world and giving them a little juice to get excited about. Let's put some fear in you. Fear is nothing more than something everybody has, and it's a matter of conquering it and getting by. So
look at that.
Put a few different situations out there and go for it. Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to what you said that it definitely relates. Horror and comedy. I mean, it's not necessarily the same. Where like the experience. One, You laugh at the absurdity. The other one, horror, it forces you to challenge what you're afraid of and face your fears or have you question things, you know? Like, what does this mean? Especially, man, stories about monsters and all that, that's fun. But every now and then I like to read a story that's about real horror, like things that humanity can do to one another, like Jack Ketchum's Girl Next Door, that girl and that family. That's real life. That happens.
Oh, it really happened.
Definitely.
And
something I try to do in my books, in all sincerity. My first one, I covered the basically the conflict with depression and greed taking place in the same person and warping side by side, aging in America, at religious extremes. But I do it through the characters instead of getting up on a soapbox and preaching. My second book, I carried through with that as far as with child abuse, spousal abuse, pet disposal, so to speak. I hate to say disposal, but just leaving pets and saying goodbye to them without caring what happens to them. I always try to have a little bit of a message in with the characters and show how they handle things. Maybe just to give an example of an option that somebody may be going through it and not have that route, or not recognize the route, I should say. But again, they're not preachy. I refuse to stand on the soapbox and try to make a political statement or a statement of any type. It's strictly for the character to display.
You know what? And that's good. I mean, the preachy stories, I just can't stomach them, really. One moment. Just announcement real fast. I'm going to turn on the shot cam. Ladies and gentlemen, I will take a shot for donations. $5 donations preferred. If you want to donate more, go ahead. The links are on the show notes. You'll see a PayPal link. You also see a Streamlabs link. So feel free to donate. And if you do, I'll take a shot of Hornitos.
About the $10 donation for
yes,
the computer.
Yes. So if you donate $10, you will see a video of Becky tasing her brother.
Yes. Live.
Legit.
Please, 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 please donate.
Yes.
But he's going to enjoy that fully, don't you?
Oh, that's okay. He can enjoy, or he thinks he will.
And the thing is, the reason why I'm not laughing is because we already received a donation for that. So what's going to happen? The question is, do you want to see it? Those listening right now. If so, feel free.
Definitely.
You can donate the $10, either Streamlabs or PayPal. I'll keep track of who you are. Make sure you get that video of Becky's brother being tased. Look at that. See, it's all.
Yeah.
He's like a martyr. He's doing it for us. He got tased for our sins, for our
amusement.
There we go. All right. So, and Becky will help share the word about this. I'll go ahead and pour the tequila now.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see if it happens.
I think you should just take a shot because.
No, I got this beer for that.
Oh, well, okay. I forgot about that.
I got 2 beers over here. All right. So let's resume. Let's get back into this. Let's see. I can't believe you did comedy, and then you got you worked in the corporate life for a little while. Like, when I read that in your bio, I was like, oh man, that must have sucked the soul right out of him.
It was a sacrifice. Let me put it that way. And the reason I did it, I'm playing at a club out in Las Vegas. I've been out there for weeks on end, and my youngest daughter calls up and asks if I'm ever coming home again. Oh, and shit. I'd been on the road, as I said, 53 straight weeks. And, you remember your promises, commitments, your obligations, and how much a damn divorce and child support is going to cost. And you decide to make the decision to honor your commitment, so to speak. So I left the corporate world. or I left the comedy world, and the first thing I did was get into the waterbed business. I know that sounds crazy, but I figured back then it was cool, and it still was going to give me a little bit of time to maybe do some stand-up on the side on open mic nights and that sort of thing to keep the edge going and that sort of thing. But and then within 6 months, they made me an assistant manager. In another 6 months, I was being transferred to Kentucky to take over a store. And then I left that business. I was, I don't know if you remember the company, the old Big Sur Waterbeds Oak Express years ago.
I don't remember the companies, but I remember, my parents had a waterbed. That was a thing back then.
I still have two in the house. They're great in the wintertime. They're warm and they mold to your body, comfortable, that sort of thing. It's a matter of keeping your eye open for leaks. They're great. They really are, unless you're drunk.
The
first time I ever
doesn't need one.
The first time I ever got totally wasted on tequila, I slept on a friend's waterbed, and it was a full motion. And it was a real awakening in many ways. Let me put it that way. But
I bet.
That sounds like a nightmare already.
Yeah, it was.
It's the least.
It's bad enough because I don't think people who don't drink don't get it. Like when you're that drunk, when you close your eyes, it's like every time you close your eyes, it's like it's just everything's spinning. It's like this drunken dryer just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning faster. And you open your eyes and finally everything stops a bit. And it's like, okay, I can pace. But you close your eyes again. It's like, imagine being like that on a waterbed. Oh, fuck. God, it'd be like seasick. Be vomiting all over yourself.
Yeah, it got to the point when I was in the military that I just went to the, what we called the head, which was the bathroom, ahead of time and made myself sick because I didn't want to get back up later on. Mm-hmm. And then one night I'm doing that and I'm saying, why in the hell am I going out and spending money so I can come back here and do this? It just didn't make any sense. And I pretty much stopped drinking, and just went back to the illegal drugs that I totally enjoyed and went that route. So,
Hell.
But that's in the past,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That happens.
So tell us about, Horror Across the Alley.
Horror Across the Alley was my first book. It's a basic haunted house story. Entails an individual coming back from the Middle East after serving in the military and wanting to go back to college. So he rents a house and finds it to have some experiences in it that he would rather not experience, so to speak. Things move around and that sort of thing in the house. He starts finding one room upstairs that is the door constantly slams shut, and when he walks in, there are things that happen to him that he can't wait to get out of the room, and it goes on from there. It entails a couple of neighbors that come to his assistance and help him out, religious extremists that decides to partake and also get involved with the situation after being requested by one of the neighbors to do so. And, of course, it all comes to a climax at the end. But it is not as predictable as some of them I've read out there by any means. There's a couple of things that happen that people have, one has told me they cried about, and I don't want to give any spoilers out, so I'm going to just hold off on that one. But that's a basic synopsis of Horror Across the Alley.
How long ago did you write that one?
That was the first book. I wrote that starting in January of 2017 and self-published it in May of that year.
Wow.
The book took about a month and a half to write, and the rest of the time was trying to figure out editing and how the hell to publish it. As far as, through the formatting and everything else was concerned. So right. I did everything on myself on that. And then I sent it back through an editor, and then my wife got it back and looked at it, and she's a better editor than some of the editors I've used, to be very honest. She reads so slow. She's from Alabama, so It's you have to be careful of people like that. First thing they have to do is be taught how to wear shoes, and then they have to be taught how to read. Anyway, she reads so slow that she catches things that a lot of people pass over. It's amazing, but it was a fun book. It was one that I gave away a lot of copies of. People bought a lot of copies to begin with, which was surprising. And then I put it for the 99 cent and a free bit on Kindle, and gave away over 400 copies of it. And it's got good reviews. Like I said, it's been out going on, I guess, a year and a half now, a little over a year and a half.
Right.
And it's still ranking up there well above 4, almost to the 5-star mark. So I can't complain about the reviews it's got.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed it got pretty good reviews. Yeah, so that's definitely good right there.
Yeah.
Now, have you had any paranormal experiences?
I have. I guess my first experience was years and years ago, after my dad remarried. The first one I can ever remember, I had a major argument with the stepmother. I ran from the home. It was the middle of winter. There was snow outside, and I had only a shirt on and, of course, pants, but I didn't have a jacket or coat or anything. My mom was buried about 2 miles away, so I went through the forest. And every time I go through that, the scene from I Was a Teenage Werewolf, where the guy's walking in the woods, comes to mind. Mm-hmm. But I ran through the forest and finally got to the graveyard and knelt down by her grave and started spouting out everything that was happening and that was taking place. And behind me, a voice said, "Just go home. Everything will be okay." And this is after dark.
No,
on a weeknight.
Just make sure.
At a graveyard.
Yeah, after dark at a graveyard. And how old were you again?
And I was 13.
13. Okay, so were you smoking any
I was just shitting my
marijuana?
pants.
Were you smoking any of the devil's lettuce?
No, I was straight. I was totally straight.
No tequila? No vodka shots?
No.
Okay.
No, I was a good kid.
Okay. No.
I changed later. But I looked, and I got up, and I looked around, the best I could around the gravestones and everything, and there wasn't anybody there. There wasn't any footprints in the snow around the area. I went back, and I got on my knees again, and I started letting loose, and the voice repeated what it said the first time. And I stopped for a while, and I started again, being pig-headed, I guess. I don't know. But I heard just a go home. And when, I went to the road this time instead of going back through the forest. Got down to the highway and started walking home. And within a couple of minutes, there was my dad driving with the rest of her family, or his family, whatever you want to call it. They picked me up, took me home. Not a word was ever said about it, so everything was okay. It was strange. But that was my first experience ever. Yeah. So it, I've had people say, "Oh, well, that was this person, or that was this, and that was this," and I don't know who the hell it was, but it was scary. When you're 15 years old, So I have always been a monster freak, a monster movie freak, I guess you could say, from my youngest days. My dad let me watch them. And that was just the icing on the cake for back then. It was one of those things that I don't know if I let it affect me. It's something I've never forgotten, and it still gives me chills to talk about. But it did take place. So, say la vie. Beyond that, I've had other experiences, and I could keep going, but I really,
Well, this is relevant.
The haunted, the haunted house. I did live in a haunted house up on Rogers Street in Bloomington, Indiana. That one just had things moving in the house. There wasn't any spirit or anything like that, but it was the house that I envisioned when I wrote Horror Across the Alley.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
There was, I enjoyed the house. I loved that house. People kept moving in and out of the house. Previous to me moving in, I actually lived in a garage apartment across the alley, and I kept watching people move in and out every other month, and it didn't make sense because the rent was only $125 a month, and all utilities paid, and that was back in 1980, I believe, 79 or 80.
Oh, what to say, man? That's pretty low. Like what? Only 125. Yeah. Shit.
Well, that was still low for even back then. Apartments
Right.
were going for 200 around the campus, Indiana University, and such. But they couldn't keep people in. There was also I had the major part of the house. There was a small little apartment on the back side of the house, and a girl back there just absolutely hated living there. Every time I would leave, it would seem like the pilot light in the furnace downstairs would go out. So I come home one night from work and pull up the alley behind the house, and there's a flash in the basement, and she comes running out and throws herself down into the snow. Her boyfriend comes out of her apartment, take her to the hospital. She's got third-degree burns on her face and hands and such. She had went downstairs to light the pilot light, and everything had flash fired around her.
Oh my God.
I go downstairs immediately after, and I had smoked one on the way home. I'll admit it. And I go down into the basement and light the pilot lamp without even thinking about it. So I've got an open flame, and I've got a cigarette in my mouth. The thing should have exploded again on me, but it didn't. And after they decided to move out a week later, the pilot light never went out on the furnace again.
But you were protected. You were protected by maybe like a guardian spirit, or by a loved one, or you're protected, right? Maybe is that how it works?
It may have been. There's a good possibility on that. I appreciated the house. The garage apartment where I lived in was ice cold in the wintertime, tiny. It was one of those things you move in when you get out of the military and say, I'm on my own. And then after a year of living there, you're going, God, is this all I've got? But when the house came open, it was like, yes, now I've got a large living room. I've got a tremendously good sized dining room. I've got a large kitchen. I've got an upstairs with bay windows that look across the city. It was 4 bedrooms upstairs, and here I am, $125 a month, a single person. I loved it. I truly did.
No, I mean,
it was a good place to party.
I mean, did you have any blood on the walls, or the ghost twins walking around? Any of those things?
No. There was times that you would kind of hear a baby cry. But you would talk to it, and it would chuckle, and then it would leave you alone.
Crying.
But
babies.
it was good.
Okay, that would be the
end of
me.
You didn't want to stay all night. Yeah, that was it. Usually if you had somebody there lying with you in bed, and they started to hear the baby chuckle, and then when you talked to it, they would leave pretty quickly. You didn't have to worry about overnight stays. So
you know what? Yeah. I had this random thought. I probably shouldn't share it, but I'm going to go ahead. I said this to a paranormal investigator once. I was like, man, if you're really looking for ghosts, one place to go you would think would be a hot spot would be like a Planned Parenthood or something. A place where there'd be a lot of dead babies around.
Exactly.
You're so bad.
Oh.
You're grounded.
I love it. It's the old cartoon that was made. It wasn't a funny cartoon by any means, but I guess somebody had made it about the baby angels flying away from the Planned Parenthood building.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay.
You just turn on the digital recorder, throw it in there overnight, see what happens. I don't know.
My Lord.
I don't know. There's also other go-to spots, like of course psych facilities, like abandoned ones. But it could be rodents and stuff, If it's an abandoned building, it could be rodents. So it needs to be a place with a control for that. So,
Like Waverly.
like what?
Waverly Hills.
Oh, like Waverly Hills, yeah. The graveyard, yeah. Try to get some activity.
I know the lady that owns it.
Ooh, maybe
I thought about going there several times, but have held off.
we could do a show
Oh,
there.
you should. It's amazing.
We could do a show at
Is it
Waverly
really?
Hills.
Mm-hmm.
A show there would be good. It would.
Let's do it.
Deadman Stone Podcast live at Waverly Hills. Here we go. Let's see if we get some.
There's another.
guests.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna joke about having guests. The certain kind of guests, the kind that you probably can't get rid of.
Okay.
Oh my lord.
Definitely.
Haunting and lingering. All right, guys.
Well, I am not sitting
yeah.
outside of room 502. That is all you.
There's another place up by Cincinnati. Some bar up there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of Bob something or
Bobby Mackey's.
Bobby Mackey's, yeah. I would actually rather go there than the Waverly Hills, I think. There seems to be more things happening there.
Ooh,
I don't know. Waverly's in my backyard though, so I'm kind of partial.
Well, true. I'm kind of in the middle between both of them, so.
Right.
So you definitely, so you go on paranormal hunts. You've been on ghost hunts.
I've gone on one.
Oh, okay.
And was very disappointed. Yeah, we went to a house out in the woods, and it was supposedly heavily haunted, and the scariest part about the whole evening was going out into the woods and taking a leak, wondering if the animals out there were going to attack while you were outside of the house. But wasn't real impressed with it by any means. I don't want to say that things like that don't exist, but it's never, I've walked into houses and felt, as most people have, felt like something has happened in the home. And then you inquire about it, and find out something has happened in the home. There's a sensitivity that you develop, I guess, from exposure or whatever. But as far as just going into a house that's been abandoned and such, I almost feel as though you either have to be welcomed or just the entity, if it's there, really wants you out. Otherwise, it's not going to bother with you or not really give you any hint that it's there.
Have you had that experience? Have you had that experience where the entity just wanted you out?
No, I have not. I wish I could say I have, but hasn't happened. They love me.
Same here. I mean, I try to provoke some demons in myself in a number of ways, but it hasn't happened. So I guess I'm lucky.
Yeah, it's better to have that, I guess, than to have them hang on to you and follow you home.
True.
Yeah. So, and that was always in the back of my mind too. I didn't want to bring anything home to the family,
Yeah.
So
even
though I think my wife is possessed, so.
Oh, well, might be. I mean, so it sounds like Horror Across the Alley did really well. The reception was well, and it's being, people are loving it. Good reviews. And then what? They Lurk in the summertime. Is that right? They Lurk in the Summer. What's that book?
Yeah, They Lurk in Summer. That is, I've probably got it classified in horror, and it needs to be more in thriller.
Okay.
It's not a paranormal tale by any means, but it's reality. It's the horror of reality. It's about 4 kids back in 1965 who are on summer vacation, and they face all sorts of adversity. That's the story I was saying earlier with the child abuse, the spousal abuse. There's a kidnapper involved with it, kind of a psycho kidnapper. There's also a pack of wild man-eating dogs that are victims of pet desertion at a state park. Okay. It's been described as Cujo meets Stand By Me. Okay.
Well, that's pretty good.
It was a story. Yeah, I've had a lot of people that have read it whose reviews never seem to get to Amazon, or Amazon never allows them on there for some reason. But the people say they love the story. It's one of the best that I've written, and I don't know what the story is on that. The cover. I went through. I probably shouldn't say the name of the company on the cover, but I was never totally satisfied with it. But dealing with an individual in Central Africa with a language barrier, a time barrier, and her sick child, and so on and so forth, plus deadlines, I went ahead and accepted the cover.
Yeah.
And I've never really been happy with it, and it's one of those things that I went through a mentor program here back in the earlier part of this year with the Horror Writers Association. and Jason V. Bromwich, tremendous individual. I don't know if you know him or not, but just an absolute genius when it comes to the horror genre and such, was my mentor.
Okay.
And he suggested rewriting the book. Not that it was bad, but with the things that I learned from him, it can be better. And I'm in the process of doing that. It's on the back burner, but it is being done. And when that book is rewritten, I'm going to re-release it with a new cover.
Okay.
So that hopefully will stimulate things a little bit.
I can understand. I can understand why you decided on the cover. I mean, because of the crunch time and the the situation that you described there. But it's like, oh man, I mean, I guess that's a learning experience. Don't just cave. Say no when it's supposed to be no. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah. That's that. It was a learning experience to say the least. I have a friend that's done my cover as far as the first cover and the Gabriela cover, and she's not a horror cover expert by any means, but for not being a horror expert, she's done a decent job.
The Gabriela cover looks good. The one with the cat.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And I didn't think Horror Across the Alley looked too bad either. She pretty much gave me what I asked for on that. They Lurk In Summer. There was, my idea was a giant mouth with a kid running away from the giant mouth, with everything facing you, so to speak. And you see what I ended up with. Just not real happy with it at all. But again, a learning experience, So I'm new to the business. You learn from everything you do, and boom, that's a lesson and a half that I've gone through. So.
Yeah. And through your experience with writing and publishing, I take it that you've had, I guess what we're good at, Becky, and you help me out with this, is pretty much traditional versus self-publishing. Like, what's your experience with that?
I wanted to try self-publishing first. And the reason was because I didn't know if I was good enough as a writer to actually be out with the published group. There's a lack of confidence when you do something for the first time and you're trying something new, that even though people say, oh, that's good, I like that, you wonder if they're just not pandering to your emotions instead of actually giving you a critical view of what you've produced. And so I self-published. I did that with the first two. Gabriela, after the HWA mentorship, I knew my writing was better. I know it was much better. And, there's one story in Gabriela, which I guess you're going to get to here in a moment, of which Jason V. Brock said, Rich, you have now arrived in the horror writers. So
oh, man.
It made me feel very good that I was there. And it gave me confidence. But because I had promised the book, and again, this is one of those things I'm guilty of, I promised the book to be out by the end of July. Instead of pushing it through indie publisher or any of the others, I decided just to go ahead and self-publish it, and then from that point on, I would actually seek out publishers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the thing. I wanted to have the confidence. I wanted to know that my work was worthy of being published. Anybody can self-publish, and there's a lot of people out there that never should have. I didn't want to be one of those people that never should have, so.
I can understand that.
So, but in your experience with self-publishing, even Horror Across the Alley, it has good reception and good reviews and favorable feedback. So, and with the help of your mentor, you definitely got that confidence now.
I do. I do. I feel, like I'm almost a writer at this point in time. I'll never be a Dean R. Koontz. There's no way. I'm not going to be an Edgar Allan Poe. Those guys are at the top of the heap, but I do have something to offer. And, I try to use, as I said, life's experiences as well as the horror that I've felt over the years and experienced myself at times. And I try to go into areas that I've never traveled.
Yeah.
The old 90s expression of going outside the box, so to speak. There is no box. It's restraints that you put upon yourself. So you just have to go for it and see how far people will accept what you do.
Okay. One moment. I'll go ahead and take this shot now. This shot of tequila right here.
Go for it.
And but if you want me to take another one, chat. If you want me to take another one, if you're listening, I'm taking shots for donations. The Streamlabs is open, and the PayPal. The link is in the description box below as well. $5, I'll take a shot. $10, you'll get to watch Becky tase her brother. But here we go. I'll take a shot right here.
Please make a $10 donation. I want to taste him so bad. And after all the spider pictures and other pictures that he's done and sent me, he needs to be tased.
Yeah, he needs to be tased. Jesus
Yes.
Christ!
Was that rough, Jesse?
I don't know, like, how many shots of tequila I need in order for me to get used to the burn of tequila. Like,
you're not drinking the right kind of tequila.
I guess. Well, I'm drinking Hornitos. I don't know if that's the right kind or not.
No.
No.
You need to drink El Jimador.
El Jimador.
Mm-hmm. The white, the Blanco.
The Blanca. What about Patron? Get some Patron over here.
I don't like that.
You don't like Patron?
No.
All right, so reminder, and we have some more listeners. If you want me to take another shot cam right here. Here's tequila. Here's a shot glass. Let me take another shot. $5 donation.
And if you're listening,
there's the PayPal link down below. Sorry, go on, Becky.
Hit the like. If you're listening, hit the thumbs up button on the podcast on YouTube.
Oh yeah, definitely do that. That helps out. All right. I'm sorry. Mr. Rumple?
Yes.
All right,
Just
let's
call
go
me
ahead
Rich,
and go.
Please.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You want me to call you Richard?
Just call me Rich.
All right, Rich.
Just Rich. Yeah.
All right, Rich. Let's get right into Gabriela.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about that.
Gabriela. Gabriela is a collection of 13 short stories. Gabriela is kind of taking the place of a crypt keeper. Some of the stories are her stories of previous owners, but she does introduce each story and has a little bit of an outro as well. They cover all sorts of different things, from werewolves to succubus to Bigfoot to technology monsters, so to speak, magic, psycho killers. I tried to run the entire gambit with the stories involved on that. The concept that a cat has 9 lives kind of falls into place here, which they do have 9 lives, but they don't use them all at one time. They have one life and then they die, and in the interim, they spend their time either in heaven or hell, depending upon how their past life has been. Well, Gabriela has spent her past lives in hell, and so she's collected a lot of stories out of hell also that she's transferring to be told. And some of those stories are actually better than some of her stories. So it's a book, as I said, I wrote it after the mentorship with the Horror Writers Association and Jason V. Brock, and it's something I'm very proud of. I did learn the hard way that you never sit down to write a short story book by yourself, though. You write a bunch of short stories as far as over time, and then you compile them later under a common theme. Trying to write a short story book in itself is a pain in the neck.
Yeah, I can imagine so. That's what I was going to ask. I was like, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
instead
writing
of a labor of love.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, instead of a labor of love, it becomes a labor of hate. It truly does. You just want to get it over with. After you're coming up with characters for each story, with antagonists for each story, with different plot lines. You're trying to come up with different point of views. You're not wanting any story to sound like the previous or any other in the book. And it really is. It gets to be a nightmare.
And one thing I want to ask you is like when you do that, when you're sitting down and like writing out multiple stories back to back, do you find that like your vocabulary within the stories are very similar? And it's like because,
you recognize your catchwords.
Yeah. It's like, and the structure seems very similar. It's like you have to break out of that mold or something. I don't know. It's like because
exactly.
Okay, all right. So it's not just me at times.
Yeah. Oh no. But changing your point of view between the stories, or the storyteller's point of view, so to speak, that actually does help. Whenever you tell a story in first person, it's always difficult. Vocabulary-wise, at least I find it to be so. But I tend to write most of my stories in first person.
Yeah.
It just seems like you can tell the story better by giving what you experience at times. But neither of my two novels were first person. Only the short story collection. A lot of those are. And some of my short stories, I just had one that went into, or that's going to be published here at the beginning of the year, Richard Raven's collection. Becky, help me out. Is it Screams in the Dark or Screams in the Night, or help me out?
It's Screams in the Dark. What Screams in the Dark?
What Screams in the Dark, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a story going to be published in that. And that is in first person. So, it tends to be my favorite. What can I say?
Well, first person is a go-to for me as well. It seems more like you are the person. Along for the ride, I guess you could be like, well, I don't really identify with this person, so then you can really, really hate him or love her or hate her or whatever, whoever it is, really, because that is the main character. It's like you're seeing it through their perspective. Imagine
exactly.
in a first-person perspective on a. Oh man, sounds breaking. Okay. Imagine doing a first-person perspective on, let's say, I don't know, a story about Trump.
No. Next subject.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Becky.
That's okay. Next subject, because we're not writing a story about Trump.
No,
You'd be better off writing a story about how you got the tick off your nuts.
Actually, that would be more interesting. That would be.
Yes, and it is definitely a horror story too, I'm sure. So
let's see. I stood before the mirror one day.
Oh my God, no!
I thought you wanted to hear it, Becky. I was going to go through the ideas with you live on the show. Okay.
I want to read the diary of the guy that injected silicone into his balls, Day one, inserted needle. Ouch,
Oh, and it gets even crazier. It was the idea of his pimp, of his master. His master wanted him to do it.
They all did it, though. Did you see the other picture of them?
Yeah, they all did it. They all, and so they're all gonna die. There's all these like
fools,
deformed looking
morons,
like buff. I don't know what swole dwarf looking motherfuckers are all gonna drop dead soon due to silicone in their ball sacks. I mean, what the hell's going on in this world, man? Come on.
Maybe they'll form a wrestling team,
And I swear, man.
Oh my God.
Like I'm cool with people doing what they do as long as they're not harming anyone else, But there's certain pictures, certain images that you start seeing, you start realizing what they're doing. You're like, this is what you're doing with your life?
Why?
Like, for real? Like I look at them, I hear about them, I'm like, maybe you could have used someone bullying or something. Someone should have stopped. Someone should have said, hey, bro, this isn't a very smart idea, bro. I mean,
that's one thing that doesn't deserve a participation medal,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. I mean, and this is a total girl question. Okay. Where in the blue hell did they find pants or um I'm not sure what banana hammocks or whatever you call those things um that fit?
For the guys that inject plastic into their nuts, or for
Yeah.
normal men?
Yeah, I mean this picture that, is
Well, in that
is
picture we
here.
showed before, which I guess I can put it back on the screen now, is that's clearly that's underwear. That's like it's
Okay.
stretched out. It's stretched out like that looks like
Like
does it
is
say
it for
baby
an
boy on
elephant?
it? Maybe. It's for a
He looks
large
like he's
man.
smuggling a Smurf in his shorts.
Yeah, he does. I can see it. I think he has the Smurf between his thighs, and he's like just choking him out with his meaty ass thighs. The guy's pretty
Uh,
buff, but then he
he
has like
could
this
he could have a
little
midget
head.
in there.
He could.
The only thing you see are balls. I'm wondering where everything else is.
Gone because it says that it causes all kinds of um, distortion and abnormal swelling.
Wow.
So I would assume that when they injected it into their balls, the balls are swollen, and the other uh, part of their
Shrinks.
anatomy,
Huh.
yeah,
It just
goes bye bye. It hides.
Okay.
Of course, I
well
think
Well,
I
that
would
would
hide
that
too
would
if I were it.
that
that would ruin any type of sex, pretty much. I mean,
yeah, I
Not
don't know
pretty
what
much.
the master's thinking. If you have a bunch of
yeah.
gimps, sex slaves, and they're useless. Well, I mean, I guess they're bottoms. I mean, I guess I want to be technical here. I mean, shit.
Yeah,
Ew.
but for the slaves themselves, I
We're
mean,
all
there's no release.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, but I don't want to think about it.
yeah. Let's not think about that. Shit.
Mm-mm.
Let's talk about the 13 stores in Gabriela. Okay.
Yes, please.
What I find interesting
Okay,
about
all right.
this is that okay, so you're writing a collection of short stories that pretty much has a host throughout it, kind of like a creep show or Tales from the Crypt, right? It's like you have a storyteller.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Gabriela, she is in a few of the stories. They are of her previous owners. Uh, but a lot of the stories are of stories that she's heard while waiting in line in hell, that other people have experienced or other animals have experienced, so to speak.
Mm.
And some of those stories, they go back as far as the pre-Civil War or right as the Civil War began, to a prairie home, a family whose father has gone off to Civil War, has left a teenage son, a younger boy, and a wife who is going through a state of manic depressiveness, to tend for the farm, so to speak.
Mm.
And they come under an animal attack. Of a slithering kind, and that's as far as I'll go that way. But it's there's various stories. One of the stories involves a succubus getting it on with what she didn't know was another creature of the night, and trying to exhaust him out, and that sort of stuff. So it's an adult book.
Can
At least
wait,
PG-13.
wait,
Let's
wait,
go
wait,
that
wait.
far.
Can a succubus exhaust a werewolf? Is that what we're looking at here, or a vampire?
Um, without any type of sustenance, every time an individual needs to replenish themselves, and she demands more sexual activity and keeps them from doing so, um, yeah, she can exhaust them.
Oh
Um,
man.
but there comes a point where she can't do it any longer. The survival mode kicks in, and decisions have to be made, and so on and so forth. And
I see.
I don't want to give a spoiler
I
here.
don't know how that
So
works.
Right.
I thought succubuses and incubuses take the soul. They're like the soul, the life energy. But do vampires even have a soul? Is there? I guess do they? I mean,
I'm not sure about
Ask
vampires
Michael.
by any means. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I need to ask
Yeah,
the vampire that we
exactly.
had on the show if he had. That's a good question. Should ask him.
Yeah,
Hey.
he was the real vampire, correct?
Yeah, real life
Yes.
vampire. King of vampires,
Yeah, I heard that a
actually.
couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah,
King of
okay.
the
All right.
vampires in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But that's one of the stories. Another story is basically a story of an individual who is on the web one night and gets an email from an individual who is trying to trace her family tree and feels as though he may be a member of the family.
Mm.
She sends him pictures to go through. As he goes into each picture, he starts being transported to various visions and such. And the ending of that one is strange also. These are kind of a mixture between true horror, hardcore, as well as light, and Twilight Zone episodes. So, as I said, I've tried to go the entire realm on these. Again, I didn't want any of the stories to sound similar or anything like the others. So it was a battle. It was a battle, but I'm proud of what came out of it. I truly am. It's one of my better compositions, and just really feel as though it hasn't received the notice, and I'm wondering perhaps if it's because the reviews that it's gotten, which are very few, and Amazon and I are at odds right now over what they're allowing as far as reviews and what they're not from various people.
Oh, we all are. Had a
exactly.
friend, and we're friends on Twitter. We follow each other, and I think I shared him a link. Or no, that's right. He read a short story I wrote called Die, and he read it, but he was trying to leave a review as Ken Stark. And he was like, I can't leave a review. Amazon's not letting me. It says we're like too close or whatever. I was like, that's weird. And I don't think I even sent him a direct referral to it. I think he actually clicked on his own. And I'm just like, wait a second. Because we follow each other, because we work together, I guess we cross paths. Somehow Amazon picked us up, probably through spying through other... it's not even spying, just getting information through other social media, Facebook, Twitter. Because we're friends, you can't comment on it? You can't leave a review? That's fucked up. That's fucked up, bro.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Exactly. I'm going through the same thing. I've got some people that have read all three of my books, and they're trying to leave reviews as fans. And Amazon is like, no, they've left 2 reviews, you're paying these people to do it and that sort of crap. They're not saying that exactly, but that's the insinuation.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. But the 2 reviews that are there at this point in time on Gabriela, one of them is kind of cutesy, which takes away from the actual horror of the book. The other one is not really getting into any details of the book. And I think it's actually hindered people from buying the book. They look at Gabriela as it being a story about pussycats instead of a book of horror and that sort of thing, and it's deterred from the audience. So I'm doing my best to get the word out and just kind of go that route. Yeah.
I wouldn't let those 2 reviews really. I mean, I would still focus on it and definitely push it out there, maybe on Twitter and Facebook, or whatever, and other means, and let people know, what it is, what it's like, or because we're just talking about 2 reviews. I mean, I know that there's people that I've been moved to buy books before just because of a 1-star review. I mean, if someone said give a 1 star to, I forgot what book it was, but it was like, there's too much profanity in this, or too much murder or blood. I was like, okay, sounds good to me.
That's what I want. Yeah,
I'll go and buy one right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the worst review I ever got was a 2-star on Amazon on horror, and it was after investigating, I found out that the girl who said it was predictable and didn't like the story, so it's just a lot of people talking, was what she said. I investigated her and found out that she's only given decent reviews to video games. She's never given a good review to any book that she's reviewed.
Oh, but Amazon won't take that review down. No.
Exactly.
Just like how
Exactly.
Amazon will take down the 2-star review on Monsters Exist, Deadman's Tome Monsters Exist, where it was like, first off, horror's not even my genre. I don't read horror, but I was given
So
a
why in the
review
hell
copy.
did you? Yeah, why in
Yeah.
the hell did you try it then?
Yeah. If it's not your
Exactly.
genre, if you don't review it, and I guess somewhat, I think I have an idea who it was. We were working on Monsters Exist.
Oh,
It was a
my.
big project. It became a pissing match about how many reviewers we can get, and I'm being hyperbolic a little bit,
Hmm.
but
Okay.
I have a tend to be anyway. I mean, but I kid you not. And every morning there was a pie chart about who had the most like reviewers it lined up to review Monsters Exist. And I look at that, I'm like, is this a corporate meeting now? This is stupid. I'm just like,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever. Like, I'm glad we're getting this. I'm glad we have fire under our ass to actually get, be motivated and get reviews.
Right.
But quality over quantity, man.
Exactly.
Come on.
Definitely. And see, one of my mistakes over Gabriela, too, was not having advanced readers for the entire book.
Yeah.
What I did was I kind of picked and chose as far as I didn't want everybody to have access to the entire book, which is stupid, but I felt Gabriela was good enough that I didn't want any chance of somebody taking and running with it. And
Right.
so I would let one reviewer read a couple of stories, another reviewer read a couple of stories, and that type of thing. So there really wasn't a person or a grouping of individuals out there that could say, I read the entire book and this is what I thought of it, and so on and so forth. They could say I read a story, but that was the essence of it.
Right.
So it was another bad decision that I've learned from, but
It's
It's
a
not
learning
always a bad
experience.
decision. I mean,
it's
live and learn.
one of those things that you do. You have to learn as you go. My first book show was at Scarefest. I didn't pick a little one to get disappointed at. I picked a big one to get disappointed at. But James Watts was there and a few other authors, and I felt good. James sold a couple of more books than I did, but only two. So it was a good deal for me. I really felt good about it. I had some great ego boosting compliments, and people, of course, they all want you to sign your book for them, which is great for the ego, and build your confidence. And then here recently, I went to one called Halloween Fest in a town just south of Louisville, and I can't say I did bad. It wasn't a good show as far as population attendance was concerned. They had maybe
They didn't
150
publicize
people
it
in 2
either.
days. No, they really didn't, but in 2 days with 150 people showing up total for those 2 days, I sold 6 books. So for an unknown or a fairly unknown, I didn't feel bad about that either. The guy next to me only sold 2 of his. So and he was the only other author in the place. So I felt good.
It does
It's
feel good,
again a
doesn't
learning
it?
experience. It does. It truly does.
It feels.
I mean, we're not in competition with each other, but when you see somebody that's been in the business for years and you're outselling them, that makes you feel
Man.
good.
But see, here's the thing. I only have one con experience. I went to Scary Dad's, and so sold quite a number of books. And there was
He was tackling people too, though.
Yeah. See, it's not just a product; it's also your salesman tactic. And there's
It is.
Stitch Smile books or press. Stitch Smile. What do they call it?
Smith Smile Publications.
Publications. There we go. They were there, and a few other authors were there to try to sell their books. Now, every time they came around, I was like, "Hey, if you're looking for horror, this is where you come, right here." And I mean, I'm doing it like that, exactly how I said it. So I'm saying that for everyone who comes by. I mean, everyone. If they have a baby in their hand, if they have 2 babies, come on over here. And I'm handing out free
I hold the
stuff.
babies, you look at the
Like,
books.
take this free flyer. Take this free flyer. Oh, by the way, you like this? I tell you what, I'm doing 2 for 10. You want 2 for 10? I'm doing 2 for 10. They're like, oh, I want 3. I'm like, oh. I was like, okay. But see, so yeah, I sold a number. But then again, I was like, a little bit was at a loss. You know, it wasn't profitable, but it was cool. But I felt good
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, it does. It really does.
I could see compared to the other guys, while their products are good as well, I'm just like, you know what? I do have a presence here. I do, and it's something to take home. You know, something to write home about. I like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know, you got to have a pitch too. You've got to have a pitch.
Oh yeah.
You know, the first day of Scarefest, I really didn't, and then I started thinking, well, let's see, I've got 3 different books here, basically 3 different degrees of horror. So the first thing I would ask a person when they would come close was, "How hard do you like your horror?" And
You know
well,
what?
what do you mean? I said, "Well, this
That
is
right
your,"
there.
and then I would start going into a quick synopsis of the 3 books and give them their option between those 3 of which one they wanted.
See
So-
right there what you did? That question. Just give them a question.
Yeah.
Just open up with a
Exactly.
conversation. They come on by to the table, be like, "Hey, you like? What do you like to read?" "Oh, I don't really like to read." "Oh, why is that?" "Oh, because this, that." "Oh, okay, I get you." "Well, maybe, hey, I mean, have you read Stephen King? I mean," and you start talking to them, like, you know, you like this, maybe you like that. You'll get their interest. Now, you'll get those that just don't read. They just don't read. There was a few of those at that one convention I went to. They don't read. It's like, okay, well, I guess bye.
There's a lot in Kentucky, believe me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
You
like,
know, that's-
they walk by and it's like, those folks don't read. You can tell that, you know.
You know, that's
So-
one thing I remember. James Watts, who was on just the other night, said that when he was at the convention there in Lexington, that so many people came by and he would try to sell them a book and they would tell him they couldn't read.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Be like, well, guess what?
Oh, that's the truth of the matter. It is. Yeah.
You know what? Now I would have a product ready for them. But like, guess what? You are in luck.
Audiobooks.
I have the Deadman's Tome Learn How to Read book right here. I know it says Book of Horrors on it, but it's actually a Learn How to Read. You learn how to read this, you'll be set for life. Yeah.
You lie.
I would try. I would try to sell it. I mean,
See, you just need to take me to a con with you because I really am not above tackling people to sell a book.
well, I just exposed I'm not above selling us something it's not. I was like, hey, you want to learn how to read this book. But actually, you know what? Though, in hindsight, maybe you could quickly release like an ABC book for like rednecks or something.
You are
That'd be hilarious. But you still buy that. I mean, there's people who buy books that are funny just because they look funny. They won't actually read it, but if it's funny, they'll connect with it.
I was
So
thinking
we're gonna
about a
have
horror
our
coloring
next
book of some
anthology.
sort, you know, so.
So our next anthology is going to be redneck horror.
Well, think about it this way. Put it this way, Mr. Rumple, or Rich.
Yes.
If you were at a southern based book convention, and there's some people out there that don't read, they're there. I don't know why they're there. I guess a horror convention or whatever. If you had a book called "Oh, I'll Have a Beer with Him," and it's like, I don't know, Trump on the cover, or I don't know, someone else. Okay, they would probably buy that. You know. Or just,
So you're going to make an ABC picture book, and A is going to be for apple, and B is going to be boobs, and C is going to be catfish. I mean, you know, you have to make it something.
No. You missed it.
Crap.
You missed it.
He is going to be pert near. Yeah, you know. So,
A is for what?
A is for alcohol. A is for
Oh,
alcohol.
no, you don't. That's steel. Are you crazy?
It's steel.
Still. ST.
Oh.
You know, the steel where they put the alcohol, where they make it.
still.
Gotcha.
STILL. Yeah.
That's what
Gotcha.
I said.
But A's, I was gonna go say A's for alcohol on ass. Where you
Oh, ass. Yeah, well.
A's
well.
for ass, B's for butt,
Bees.
C's
No,
for
boobs.
boobs, C's for my
Boobs.
mama said I can't say that word, but see you it. Oh
No,
God.
catfish.
Catfish.
Those who
Gotcha.
like to go fishing.
Oh, we got to keep it some family friendly now because the wives are gonna want to. Okay, so A's for ass. That's just funny. B's for boobs. C's for catfish. D's for dog. You gotta have your family dog. You know.
Yeah, it's DAWG.
Yeah. E's for shit. I mean, if I were just spitballing.
Ignoramus.
I'm sorry. What?
Ignoramus. Ignoramus.
Ignoramus. Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
F is for F is for
Yeah, you're not going to say that word. No.
It's the only one coming to mind. Yes.
I mean, how redneck do you want to get here? I mean, this is probably you probably want to put a pin in.
How about
Fried. F is for fried chicken.
Fried chicken. There you go.
or
Fried
feed?
chicken. Yeah.
Feed because they have to feed the critters.
Yeah, sure. For this project, you might want to put a byline or a pen name or something. You know, just it's something you release while you're at the cons. Hell, you can go to like a.
That's a possibility.
That's
a possibility. I'm thinking that or a coloring book. I'm not sure. You know, a coloring book, but just to be able to teach people how to within the lines. You know?
A coloring book called. Yeah, finally. A coloring book.
No.
Like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You can have one for the ladies coloring Jesus.
MAGA on the front. You know, make Alabama great again. You know, but
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's just a bunch of American flags coloring the flag.
No.
What colors you need? Only red, white, and blue. You even include the crowns, red, white, and blue. And in your pitches, you only need these three colors. You only need these colors to color in this book because we're American over here. You go buy a book from them, they might be a comic.
God.
have all the SEC football helmets encircling the center, you know, type of thing. There, so.
No. Just no.
Oh, this is great. Man.
Hey, did I tell you? Have I said no?
I
Once
heard
or
you.
twice.
I heard you.
No.
I heard you. K is for kitchen. I'm just joking.
K is for kick.
Rich, you're silent there. What happened?
I'm thinking about the coloring book.
Yeah. This is a good idea. I mean, come on. If you want to be business oriented, you might want to release books. I mean, it is sad. A lot of people don't read anymore. Isn't it?
It really is.
I mean,
well, the web is given the attention span of an ant. You know, I mean, you've got 5 to 10 minute attention spans now, and that's about all there is. So, you know, thinking about a person sitting down and actually reading a book, concentrating for more than 5 or 10 minutes on that, it's almost ridiculous. You know, you hope that it's not. I mean, they've even gotten away from books in classrooms. They're using the laptops now in classrooms.
It's a sad
it's scary,
state, man. It's a sad state of affairs because, like, even on this podcast, which, I mean, if you look at the other episodes, it looks like it's booming, kind of. I mean, listeners are coming in, but even on the live, people kind of come in and leave because we're talking about horror and writing, and it's like, well. But there's still hope. I mean, hell, last Sunday, actually past few Sundays, I've been watching the Lovecraft Easing podcast. Those guys are kicking it still. Pretty popular, you know. They still get a few hundred listeners a stream.
Boy, you had a draw right there.
Who, I did?
Yeah.
I guess it just kind of kicked in. I don't know.
That made me proud.
Okay.
It's pretty popular.
It's pretty popular.
She thought you were pert near getting ready to maybe get around to being Southerner one of these days.
I know, right? I say I live in Texas, but I don't sound like it. Shit.
No, you really don't.
I try not to, but
No,
what
I
can
don't
I
even
say?
know what this voice is. This voice is gravelly, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you some shit voice. No.
It's amazing how accents seep in on you over the years, though. It truly is. Like I said,
Mhm.
I was in rock radio. I did not grow up in the South by any means. I was born in Rhode Island. Uh, but after 14 years in Alabama and now almost 20 years in Kentucky, actually over 20 years in Kentucky, uh, the accent does come around. It sinks in and hits you when you least expect it. But then again, if you were dealing with the public at all, mirroring the public and mirroring what they're saying and that sort of thing, being the chameleon effect, that's a way to
Right.
communicate. So it's strange. But
My accent gets worse when I go to
Sorry.
Tennessee or somewhere. Do you feel better?
I do.
Um,
We're allowed to burp on the
good.
show. I'm
I was,
sorry. I'm sorry. I
I was
didn't.
afraid you were going to blow up.
I think the tequila kicked in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure it wasn't, his nuts weren't going to explode.
So I have this plastic gel right here, a syringe of it. You think I should just inject it right in my ball sack?
Please don't. If you
Well,
need to save that for Gary Bueller.
got to save it for
Gary
the sausage
Bueller.
fest. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
go ahead and stick this needle right in my nuts.
Make sure you've got larger underwear on before you strangle them. Okay.
Oh my God.
I don't understand how anyone could do
I
that.
swear to you, if you put that on the shot cam, literally, a shot cam, get it? Shot injection. Yeah. That is not something that you put on the shot cam.
Well,
Do
I
you
just
understand
put my
me?
balls on the table. Have a zoom in feature
Yeah,
for
about
my
that-
balls. We're
about-
like, oh, we gotta zoom in there. We gotta find Mr. Deadman's balls. Oh, there we go. He's gonna.
And when your wife walks in and catches you doing that, yeah, they will then be in her purse.
I think that would be grounds for divorce, would it not?
It would
Yeah.
be. She'll get child support.
It would be grounds for
I'll lose the
she's gonna
kids.
kick his butt.
Yeah, I'll lose my job too.
Ah,
Fuck.
Nah,
It'd be horrible. It'd be horrible. Shit.
we'll keep you.
I'll have to be like the guy we talked about, this little muscle man with balls right here. I would have to be like this guy and get a
You
get a
are
pimp.
no, you are not.
I don't have time to work out to be buff like him. I just have to be like the fat, flabby one. That's my aim. You gotta have an aim in life, Becky. You gotta aim for the stars.
Please don't. Please don't.
Oh, one of the last questions I like to ask, because we're always actually kind of over time here. One of the questions I like to ask towards the end is Mr. Rumpelstiltskin. What's your favorite horror movie?
I have multiple, as everyone does. I sat back today and watched one of my old favorites. I Was a Teenage Werewolf with Michael Landon. That for an old black and white, and for the actor that Michael Landon was in his youth and that sort of thing, that has some extremely scary parts in it. I made mention earlier of walking through the woods of the one individual before he's attacked. I think one of the most sensual scenes in a horror movie is when Michael Landon as a werewolf attacks a gymnast in the gymnasium. And it's just amazing. But that's one of my favorites. Of course, The Exorcist, as everybody would say, is one of my faves. The first time I saw it, I was actually on a hit of acid and had to go back the next night to make sure everything I saw was actually what I did see.
All right, I gotta do
Oh
that.
my!
You know what, Becky? That's another private show idea. I'm gonna get some shrooms.
Oh my dear
And
God!
We can't do this on YouTube because YouTube won't let us stream copyrighted material. But we can do it on
You
stream.
better.
No, we could do it on stream.
You better let me have the button controls for that show.
You will not have control of the butt on that show. Stream.me will be over there off for that. and we'll stream Exorcist, and I'll be looped out of my fucking mind, and be like, what the fuck is this? Oh shit! Oh my god! Let's do it, Becky.
One psychological. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You gave me an idea. I just had to roll with it. I'm sorry.
I was going to say one psychological horror show that very seldom is mentioned is Magic. The old Anthony Hopkins show where I think it was Anne Margaret was in it also. He was basically being ruled by a puppet during that movie.
Magic.
Have you seen that one? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Magic.
Wait.
Oh, it's tremendous.
He was Anthony Hopkins. He was. This is an early film,
He
right?
was young. This was
Yeah.
This was back in the early 70s. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I saw that at the theater when it came out.
Okay, so I should.
It's one. Yeah, it's one you definitely need to watch if you haven't.
All right, I'll check it out.
Okay. All right. Of course, the original King Kong. Who could compete with that as far as a monster movie?
You're the first person to mention King Kong as a horror
Kong.
film. He is, right? Is he the first person?
He is. Yeah, for its time, it was a tremendous horror movie. It was produced and came out back in 1933, and the stop motion animation that they used in it for the creature was phenomenal for the time, especially. I mean, it even made the 1976 version of King Kong with Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange. It made that ape look silly. It really did. The mechanical ape they used in that. I think that was Dino. I can't even say his name. De Laurentiis was the director on that. The ape just was terrible.
They had other versions, especially the Peter Jackson version of King Kong, which it looks silly. Even the CG version of King Kong is like, okay, this looks fake. Like the thing about the stop motion was, yeah, of course it's fake, but it's about how it looks. And to me, even that black and white footage looks more real than some clean looking CG. I might be the only one who thinks that.
Well, Ray Harryhausen what was it? Ray Harryhausen was his name? The stop motion specialist of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
He did Jason and the Argonauts and a bunch of other movies, a lot of the Sinbad movies and such during that period of time. He was phenomenal in everything he did. And again, you could tell it was fake, especially when there was a person in the hand of the beast or the mouth of the beast or something like that. But I'll tell you what, for a youngster growing up in the 60s, those movies were phenomenal. They truly were.
Oh, they are.
A movie called Two on a Guillotine with Vincent Price and Dean Jones and Connie Stevens was a good psychological thriller back then.
There's another one.
I remember. Go ahead.
It was called Clash of the Titans, right? With the Medusa and all that.
Yeah.
Damn, those effects are so fucking cool. The way they were able to pull that
really
off. Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah.
That movie gave me the creeps.
They're phenomenal in their effects. They truly are. An American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm.
Who can compare? The CGI in this day and age, fantastic. Okay, good. You made it look real. But then again, for the time that these movies came out, to be able to do what these people in special effects departments were doing, it was just beyond belief. It truly was. It was, So, I remember seeing Halloween when it first came out at the theater. And that, of course, being the first slasher movie. I know everybody says The Town That Dreaded Sundown and all those others. But Halloween was the first major that really hit hard.
Yeah, mainstream. Yeah, first mainstream major. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Halloween's
that was
phenomenal. Halloween's one of my favorites. Halloween's one of my favorite horror movies because of that. I have a soft spot for slashers, like good ones. Like even the latest Halloween was pretty much a regurgitation of like H2O. It's like, oh, we're doing this again. Well, I thought we already did this.
Yeah.
We did about 12 times.
Larry Strode versus
I've got to the point
Michael
where
Myers.
I really hate to watch a remake. I really do. It, some of the I'll give Rob Zombie credit. I enjoyed some of the takes that he had on the stories and such, but again, we pretty much knew how the story was going to end.
Yeah,
I like not knowing how the
I'll
story
say
is
this.
going to
I'll
end.
say this too, and I've agreed with people who shit on the Rob Zombie versions as well, and I do think they're bad in a number of ways, but my first screening of them, like, it was interesting to see what a Michael Myers backstory would be like, because we've never seen that. We've never seen that.
Right.
So what would it be like? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
this is what it is. That's interesting. And it's
Exactly.
like, well, but some people say, "Oh, it's trailer trash." It's like, okay, but you're going into the mind of a psycho killing boy. But the thing about what it does to the movie overall, though, is that then you realize what Michael Myers is, and then you're no longer seeing him as like this monster villain. You're seeing him as this boy who grew up in this horrible environment, and you feel sorry for him, almost, kind of, sort of. Which,
well, don't you actually feel as though that's a continuance of what we see on the news every day when there's a mass killing or something? I mean, these individuals that get on to CNN and all the other news agencies that are, mind doctors of one degree or another, they try to validate and give reasons why this individual did what he did. And in doing so, don't they kind of blur the line a little bit between right and wrong?
Well, okay, some of the mind doctors definitely do that, but then you also have the politicians who be like, fuck it was video games. It's because he played too much Call of Duty or too much Halo. Or I remember when Columbine happened, it was like they played Doom, they listened to Rammstein, and listened to Marilyn Manson. I was like, wait a second. I played Doom.
Exactly.
Hell, I'm playing Quake when this game came out, or when that shooting happened. And then I was listening to Marilyn Manson and Rammstein. I never had the idea, and I was wearing trench coats at school too. And I was like, "Shit, what the fuck do I do? Do I stop doing what I do?" But I was
they've done that forever. I mean, even remember, you weren't around, I don't think, but during the days of Charles Manson, they tried to make the Beatles out to be bad guys because Manson listened to the White Album and got a lot of his ideas supposedly from the White Album. They did. I mean, they've been going that direction forever. Yeah, they really have.
Oh yeah,
Judas Priest, when they went on trial, with the playing of the records backwards and such.
If you look into the deep web, you'll find connections between the Beatles and Charles Manson, where they exchange communication via letters. I don't know. I'm trying to run with it. Sorry, we're beyond time. I know. Oh, man. Okay. Man.
Sorry about that, yeah.
Dude, no, Rich.
I told you I ramble.
Rich, you are good, though. I like rambling because it can go on forever. And I do the same thing. This is horrible. This is a bad combination. Okay. We need to get you back on the show again. Definitely in the future.
Absolutely.
I'd love to. I would love to.
I want to start opening the show up for callers as well, more so. So that way people can call in, and feel free to call in as well. Listeners, if you made it this far, press the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share it to someone else. Come on, sharing is caring. If you don't share, you don't care. That's what I say. All right, Mr. Rumple, it was great having you on the show. You take it easy, Becky. Thank you for keeping the show in line. And y'all take it easy.
Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. I truly do.
Oh, it's no problem.
It was wonderful to have you here.